Today, the topic I've selected is from feelings of grief to the sense of gratitude. Recently, I lost my closest and the dearest companion of 65 years, my enlightened wife. We met in the medical school when we were barely 17, and ever since have been studying, supporting one another, and working very hard to become the best physicians in our respective medical specialties. Honestly, without her constant support and encouragement, I would not have been able to succeed professionally, and most importantly, make advances in my spiritual journey. Kumud and I got married the very month when we received our first paycheck as medical residents. We thoroughly enjoyed our married life. We worked very hard as medical professionals, and as yet, always made certain that we find adequate time to bring up our two amazing children, Smita and Shekhar. Later on, we tried to help them as they too, despite being their medical profession, will bring up their brilliant and talented children, Kailas, Sophia, Veda, and Sabrina. Both Kumar and I fulfill all four goals of human existence, namely Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, the vows that we solemnly took during a marriage ceremony. Dharmartha Kama Mokshartham Aham Vyaha Samskaram Karishye. When I celebrated our once again with great joy our wedding anniversary on February 19th or 59th. Unfortunately, she passed away peacefully holding Shekhar's and my hand in January, leaving all of us, her children, grandchildren, and me alone. Despite being grounded in spirituality and properly educated, and ultimately graced by our enlightened Guru Swami Dayananda, was still overtaken with the feelings and emotions of intense grief. My emotional reaction was perhaps very much similar to that of the greatest archer of his times, Arjuna, who too, despite being well versed in the scriptures and having done several penances in his lifetime, was still paralyzed with emotions at the very outset of the Mahabharata war. I thought that during these extremely stressful times, I must face this challenge head on. By making this heart shattering episode and intense feelings of grief as the topic of today's discourse, I thought it would give me a great deal of comfort, and perhaps such a discussion just might offer some comfort to others who are facing similar challenges, or perhaps might have to face them, such situations in their lives in the future. Here it goes. We must all remember that there is twofold world, Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. There's a distinct difference between the world as God created it and the way we perceive it. Often, the projection on one's part denies one from seeing the world exactly as it is. The nature of the sorrow is often different from pain. Freedom from sorrow or grief does not mean freedom from stressful situations in the world. Besides, when situations such as this do arise, and trust me, they inevitably do, one just cannot simply go about asking, why? Why me? Why? Human life is unfortunately fraught with desirable and undesirable situations. We just cannot have a world that is always free of pain and undesirable situations. Lord Sri Krishna counseled Arjuna, discussing about the impending Mahabharata war and unavoidable deaths in Gita 227. Tasmat apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arasi. You should not grieve over that which cannot be altered. Let's remember that if death causes sadness, every birth should cause sadness as well, because a man is born to die. As a physician, I know that my birth in this human form with these specific set of genes was a pure chance, but I know that over a period of time, death for me is a certainty. Death of the loved one unquestionably leaves a permanent void and emptiness. I know that. I'm never going to see my dear Kumud again in the same living form. However, I'll always remember her smiling face, her beauty both inner and outer, and also the majesty of her ever vibrant, loving, caring, and giving personality. Always find a great deal of comfort and solace in those wonderful memories she has left behind. That's exactly why Shastras too remind us to remember and celebrate at least three prior generations when we perform the final rites of an individual and also during the annual Shraddha ceremonies. Often, what really bothers persons who are left behind is a knowledge of one's omissions and commissions. In the emptiness, helplessness, and loneliness, one starts thinking, why did I not do those things which I should have done? And why did I do those things that I should not have done? We must learn to accept the things as they are and try to find comfort in those wonderful memories left behind by such amazing individuals during their lifetimes. Vichar is simply an inquiry, whereas Viveka is a balanced form of inquiry. Often, these two simple words are not clearly understood. For example, if I hold an apple in my hand and ask for an answer, the answer that follows is simply vichara, a simple answer of the inquiry, and does not require a balanced form of inquiry, viveka. However, if I have a red hot iron ball, one needs a very balanced form of inquiry to understand all the facts. Iron ball is hot and red, brilliant. And its brilliance and heat do not belong to the iron, but only to the fire where the iron ball was placed before it started glowing. The particular form, the roundness and heaviness, belongs to iron. When we clearly understand this, it is viveka, a unique discriminative capacity of the mind which allows one to avoid confusion. Similarly, one needs viveka to correctly understand that the crystal is clear even though it may appear red or yellow, depending upon what kind of hibiscus flower happens to be around it. Similarly, our knowledge, understanding of true identity of the actor must not change when an actor assumes a particular role on the stage. Hence, when dear Kumud as a human being played various roles, we have to remember exactly as to who she really was. A dutiful daughter, a wonderful wife, a loving and caring mother and grandmother, a brilliant doctor, an amazing mentor, or a true devotee with utmost shraddha. We must all pose that critical question finally, who am I? And reflect on it carefully. Thus, the question that we have to correctly answer is, what is it that we call or consider as I, and what is it in which we should not impute this word I? When we say I am, aham asmi, we all must be careful in correctly understanding this I. If we simply call our body as I, in Sanskrit, it means shariram. That means in Sanskrit, we divide it, I don't want to bore you with samas, that which is subject to disintegration. And if you instead prefer the word deha, again, in Sanskrit, it means that which is subject to burning or cremation. One is variable and other is burnable, deha, sharir. You must clearly understand and always remember, when a person dies, the real individual never dies. When a person dies, as we call it, the real individual never dies. Only the mortal body, made up of 5 natural elements, Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, and Akash, is the one that dies. What dies simply is idam shariram or idam deham, the individual's physical body, and not the reality, the true self, Atman, what we call Purusha. Then the question that comes up, what exactly is this Atman or true self? That knowledge is Atma Vidya. Behind the variable roles that we typically play in our life, there's only one reality, the Purusha, who's playing all these roles. Purusha means the one who indwells this body. The body is likened to a Puri or a city. The one who indwells this city is Purusha. Like if you remember Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannatha is in that city. That is exactly when Lord Sri Krishna described Navadvare Pure Dehi. That means Purusha lives in the city with 9 doors. Purusha also can be defined as the entity that pervades and completes. I like Sanskrit. If you use Bahuvriya Samas, you can Sarvam Purayati Purusha, one that fills it up or completes it. So this Purusha makes the human body complete. Purusha makes us whole. That Purusha is that individual's sentience, awareness, consciousness, which in reality is the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, as called in Taittiriya Upanishad, is also known as Sat Chit Anandam or Satchidananda in later part of the Taittiriya Upanishad and many other Upanishads. Important to remember is the Ananda, the meaning of Ananda is Ananta, that means limitlessness. I hope Anant is listening to this discussion as well. Satya is generally an attribute to a thing existent in time. However, with the qualifying word Ananta, Satya is released from those threefold limitations of space, time, and object status. Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinnam Anantam. At the same time, being the cause of everything, Satya is the truth of everything that is dependent upon it. Satya is also Jnana, which as a word can mean knower, knowledge, or known. But with the word Ananta along with it, the limited meaning of Jnana is removed, and Jnana, the invariable consciousness presence in all these three, Jnata, Jnanam, and Jnaya, become as its complete meaning. Later on in Taittiriya Upanishad and elsewhere in many other Upanishads, the word Ananda is used in place of Ananta, which is a Swarupa or the nature of Atma. Why the use of this word Ananda, the experiential word? Firstly, it shows that knowledge of Atman is desirable because Atman is Ananda Swarupa. And secondly, it shows that it is the source of all form Ananda, the joy, happiness, and contentment. The word Ananda is meant to draw attention of the seeker to oneself as the source of all Ananda. If Ananda is translated simply as a bliss instead of limitlessness or fullness, the seeker is led to believe there is only a spatial bliss under discussion and not an everlasting experience. Typically, we conclude our discussions with this prayer. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Superficial meaning is both this and that are whole and complete. From completeness, completeness has come forth. We take out complete of the completeness, what still remains is nothing but that whole, the completeness. We really understood this Shanti mantra best when Swami Dayananda taught Kumud and I in May 1990. He said, and that's the way he translated it, this subject I is Atman, none other than Brahman, the formless, limitless completeness, Purna, Purnam Idam. From this limitless Brahman, which is both the efficient and material cause, has come forth this entire creation, Purnam Adaha, Purnat Pudam Purnam Udachyate. And when we take away the entire creation from this completeness, what still remains is that very completeness, Purna, the Brahman, ever existent, formless, and limitless. Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Each one of us is a complete person with a body, mind, and senses. There's also a conscious being. Every child is complete, Purna, just as complete as are its parents. The flame of the second candle burns just as brilliantly as the first that ignited it. Our individual awareness, the term Swami Dayananda preferred to use for Purusha rather than consciousness, is the one who makes us sentient, makes us alive, is present exactly in the same in each and every one of us, living entities. And most important, remember, it exists forever. This wisdom can be experienced only when it is passed on by an enlightened teacher, enlightened guru, trained to the traditionally enlightened teachers, starting with God himself, Lord Sadashiva. It said, Sadashiva Sabarambhat, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmat Acharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. This guru teaches the student, the disciple, and observes the individual spiritual growth over a period of time. When Guru is convinced that the individual has indeed mastered the wisdom of the scriptures, Shastra, called Shastra Krupa, Guru blesses him, the process known as Guru Krupa. Guru then proceeds on to pass on through himself Dev Krupa because he is capable of the divine grace. Only when this entire process has reached this stage, only then and then only, one is able to have that anubhava, the experience of divinity within. That's indeed called Atma Krupa. At this stage, the process of the clarity of the individual's mind is irreversible, just as that of a caterpillar which turns into a beautiful butterfly, never to revert back to the earlier form. The individual, after the experience of divinity within, is at peace with no desires. Both Kumud and I were fortunate enough to be graced by our Guru Swami Dayananda in 2012, after studying under his guidance by that time for a period of 26 years. We still continued serving him till 2015, the very last day that we put him on the air ambulance to go back to Rishikesh. Even to have the presence of such an enlightened guru in one's life, Shankaracharya states, is due to divine grace. Shankaracharya says, Durlabham Trayamevedat Devanugraha Hetukam Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurusha Samudra. He says, three difficult things can be accomplished only through the divine grace. What are those three? To be born as a human being. Number two, having an intense desire to be liberated from the bondage of limitations and wants. And finally, the presence of an enlightened individual to guide you through. The one who knows oneself as the awareness through personal experience is ever immortal, always overflowing with happiness and contentment. That phrase is called Atmanye Vatmana Trishta, second chapter, and is perhaps able to overcome such a deep heart-shattering experience, such as losing one's life companion for 65 years. He understands that it is the five basic elements constituting our physical body, such as Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash, earth, water, fire, air, and space, which is made up sentient that by that ever existent awareness and consciousness are the only ones that are returning back to where they came from. Kumud's physical body, having completed its mission in this mortal world, has returned back to where it came from. But divine awareness while she was alive in her beautiful form, in an enlightened status, still lives on forever. A secret which I have shared with rarely. She always wanted to create a family with me ever since our past life, but we could not. Now, having succeeded just in that, in this life, she has left behind several wonderful signposts we call Nishani. I don't know if you remember that song from the movie Shri 420, sung by Lata Mangeshkar and Manna Day. She's singing, "Main na rahungi, tum na rahoge, fir bhi rahengi nishane." She has left those memorable signposts in the form for gifted children and grandchildren and all the wonderful things she was able to accomplish. She spearheaded the creation of a beautiful Hindu mandir in Minnesota, started the Hindu temple school, what we call HATS. She has received an admiration and appreciation from all human beings that she was able to reach, touch, and help during her lifetime. Her incredible memories will remain ever in everyone's mind, and she'll always be admired by all through the generations existing now and those which are sure to come. I want to express my deep sense of gratitude to her for all that she has done for her family, and especially for me, and for all her patients and all the colleagues, both younger and older. She helped them without hurting their pride and with a sense of humility. She served the entire community, both Hindus and non-Hindus. All this she carried out all through her entire life, simply in the spirit of utmost devotion and shraddha, and as a service to God Almighty. Naturally, shraddhavan labhate jnanam. She, by setting her own example, has inspired us to do daily meditations and prayers and continue to help others and also become one's own good friend. One of her favorite words from Gita was, Uddharet atmanatmanam, natmanam avasadayet, atmaiva yatmano bandhur, atmaiva ripuratmana. Let a man lift himself up by self alone, Atman. Let him not lower or degrade himself, for this self alone is the friend of oneself. And if the opportunity of this human birth to gain the true knowledge of oneself is wasted, this very self becomes the individual's enemy. You must use this gift of human form to gain that Atmanyan under the guidance of an enlightened Guru. Let me conclude this morning by saying that we all were lucky recipients of her love and caring. Even now, she continues to shower upon us her love, blessings, and reminds us that our true nature is Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam. Satyam, Sat Chit Ananda, true immortality, absolute awareness, total wisdom, unbound happiness, and contentment. In that understanding and her everlasting love and guidance, I hope to continue my service to our community and try my best to complete the writings that she wanted me to complete. When my mortal life ends, according to my prarabdha, having accomplished the major goals of human existence, I plan to join her again by merging once again with that cosmic awareness or consciousness. I pray that by expressing my thoughts here today, I can succeed in transforming my feelings of intense grief into a deep sense of gratitude for dear Kumud for being an integral part of my life and enriching the lives of all of us who are left behind by loving presence amongst us for the glorious and magnificent 82 years. Love you, Kumud.
I have a comment.
Yes.
This is Naina. Okay, first of all, I was very moved by your talk, but I've also known Kumudji, Kumud Tai, I call her, since 1972 or something like that. And she's a truly remarkable person, and she's changed so many of our lives. But besides that, I cannot imagine your grief knowing her 65 years. But anyway, this was a great commentary, and I agree it should be posted. So we'll all remember. I do have one question for you.
Sure.
You know, when you talk about divine grace and the three things, I mean, it's a given that we are all born as human beings. Then the second thing is that intense desire to reach moksha or enlightenment or realization, etc. That also we can do. It's in our control. But the third one, finding a guru, that is not under. You've been blessed by you, and I know Dr. Ram Bachchan and several others have been blessed by Swami Dayananda for so many years. But we have not ever really. Can we have an amalgam of different gurus that can help us? I mean, we are on a spiritual path. So, and I know that they're supposed to come to you, but I see many, many gurus, and even the past one, Shankaracharya, we can go back to that guru. So anyway, could you comment on that?
Couple of comments. Good, very good question. You have to prepare yourself to start with by the way you lead your life, like Karma Yogi, by doing studies of scriptures seriously on a regular basis, doing meditation like Raja Yoga. And when you are prepared, you'll be amazed, the Guru appears in front of you. Because the Guru is able to see the individual is ready to receive the knowledge. It is not that you find a Guru, but Guru finds the disciple. For example, when Narendra was there, who became Vivekananda later, Ramakrishna was waiting for him to come. He said, I was waiting for you. How come you didn't come so far? So the Guru is always ready, but he's waiting for the student to be ready to receive that knowledge. And the last comment I'll make to your question and comment is, it is better to start digging for water at one place where you have a chance of finding water than finding different holes at different places. You never go deep enough. So you find something that you can really learn, then stay with that. Don't try to find 10 different places to find the water. So you have to go deeper and deeper. Once you realize it, the real teacher, Naina, does not ask you any money from you. If they ask any favors or money for their personal gain, they are not the gurus, the typical bondhus that you see so many of them around. So it is the way you prepare yourself. It's just a matter of you preparing yourself on a serious basis, and be surprised, the Guru will appear. Okay? Thank you. Anant, are you there, Ramchan?
Yes, Namaste, Shashi. I just wanted to say that Geeta and I appreciate very, very profoundly and deeply the courageous, your courageous talk today. I think that Kumudji would be very happy to hear all that you said today, especially the concise and precise way in which you summarized the profound teachings of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, insofar as these strengthen us to cope with what, as you said, is the inevitable experience of us all, which is the fact of mortality. I think she would certainly, as someone who shared your own religious journey and with whom you discussed all of these texts, what you said today, I can only imagine that is exactly what she would have wanted to hear from her husband this morning. And I think there is a deep lesson in all that you said for us, that we can all find solace in grief by transforming and transmuting that grief into gratitude for our companions, our loved one in this journey of life. So Shashi, I wanted to say that we are all grateful for you, as we are grateful for your life partner, Kumudji. And I'm so happy to see you back again, Shashi, teaching and sharing on this platform, and look forward to many, many more years together with you in our community. We are grateful for her and for you. Thank you very much, Shashi.
Thanks, Anand. Appreciate your comments. Say hi to Geeta.
Hi, Dr. Sane.
Hi,
Namaste.
Manati.
This is Anandi. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this wonderful summarization of your feeling at this difficult time in your life. Really appreciate it. And a couple of things that comes to my mind about Kumud. She has been a mentor and a guiding line to a lot of us, especially in the temple community. And I am one of them who benefited from that. And the very last time when I saw her, we met her about maybe 10 days before she left this earth. And she told me, she made a comment to me and said, Anandi, what is there to be sad and sorrow about this? This is going to happen to all of us. And so I always think about that line and see what a courageous lady, what a sense of, peacefulness she had at that point. And she was ready to go and meet the Maker and have the journey. So I'm so thankful for that. And you allowed us all to be there, to be part of it. And I'm very grateful for that. Like Dr. Rambachan said, we look forward to many of your discourses. And may you give a lot of those to enlighten all of those. And so please, forward this to our, group. Really appreciate it.
Very happy to.
Thank you. Namaste.
I have a comment.
Sure.
It is very rare for a person to just look at their lives, and when the end comes for your near and dear one, to reflect on that, and within a few weeks, just put their learning into actual practical use, and then sharing that with the rest of us. That's a very good boon that we have. And I thank you very much for doing this. It took, I'm sure it took a lot of positive feelings from your end to just summarize all this, and then using your knowledge, try to expound that to the rest of us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bala. Appreciate it. We are lucky to be in the community where we live and support each other.
Yes, Shashi, this is Pramod Vasudev.
Hey, good to see you, Vasu.
Our association goes back to our medical school in
Yeah.
1962. And we have so many good memories at that time in our classroom, and plus all the picnics and all we had. And Kumud has always been in the forefront and always enjoyed meeting all our friends. And of course, we have continued to keep our association after coming to USA. And we had some Zoom sessions of our classmates, and we enjoyed everybody. And, our class was unique in a sense that we had 4 or 5 couples in the classroom itself, starting with the Sanes, and then the Dudleys, and the Dasguptas, Limays, and of course, myself and my wife, Geeta, all were classmates. They had so many couples in the classroom itself. So we really enjoyed our association, your association with our group. Second question, I was very touched and encouraged when you started talking about grieving process. That is something in our Indian community in general, we have not addressed that well. Maybe that we have so many close friends and families and we don't need it. But in the Christian community, the grieving process is really well planned, well arranged. And I had some of my patients who always talk about that and had written some books and invited me a couple of times at the sessions. They have sessions, regular sessions. And I think hopefully in the future, we will have some well set things for because we are going to see this more and more. It's a fact of life that we are going to, as we are aging, we are going to see deaths of our spouses. And so, but again, thanks again for doing this. And I hope you continue to be brave and continue your vision of spirituality and religious things. And hope we'll meet again, at least a Zoom session. Okay, so
Thanks so much. Hi to Geeta. Namaste.
She's doing okay. She's there. She's actually in the Gita class right now. They have every Sunday morning they have a Gita class, so she could not.
No, that's fine. Say hi to her. Thank you. After all, that's her name. So Geeta.
Hi, Shashi.
Hi,
This
hi,
is
Gulab.
Gulab. How are you? Good to see you. And it was good to see you a few days back.
Yeah.
And I really admire how you have dealt with your grief, and now you are changing from your message of from grief to gratitude for the life, and you are celebrating the life of Kumud, just like what Pramod said. We have been classmates and we have known each other since 1957, and it is a difficult thing for us to face every year. Like Pramod said, we have been losing more and more classmates and friends whom we have known. So it was a good discourse. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I was a little late in joining.
That's fine. So the key is, you got to remember what is exactly lost. I think once you understand the spiritual principle behind it, it's less difficult to handle it. I'm not saying it's easy to handle it, it's less difficult. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those things we all have to deal with. Each one of us have our own way of dealing with it, but
Exactly.
this really helps. And we sooner or later, we are all going to face it.
Exactly. Thanks, Gulab. Appreciate it. Say hi to her.
I just wanted to say, Dr. Sane, that, for us that have crossed paths with Dr. Kumud Sane, have gained some pearls of wisdom from her and her guidance and her support, and which will really help us through our life. And as you continue to do that, it is very great. It's very beneficial to us and helpful to us. Thank you so much.
Vision of the divine.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
contribution and helping.
Stay
Thank you
warm
so
in
much.
Florida. Thank you. Hi, Ram. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your grief with us. So
Thank you. Thank you. Madhavi, you were there. What happened?
I'm here, Dada. It was a very touching talk, and there are a few highlights that they are like take-home messages for me. Number one, I was thinking, even after a lifetime of spiritual studies and reaching that far, what you highlighted was that you still feel the grief just like any other person. The human feelings, even in a spiritually advanced person, are there, and how to deal with that and channel it to the feeling of gratitude, that was really a wonderful thing to, exemplify to other people. And the example in the beginning that you showed with the crystal was so powerful, I think. The hibiscus flower in that and the crystal, how to correlate with the spirit in us and the roles that we play in the human body. I think it was a very powerful example that you cited, and really very touching talk. I learned a lot from today's talk, and really you're very courageous to to present it to all people that you've known, and just thank you for this.
Thanks, Madhavi. She is my maternal uncle's daughter, Mame Bain. So good to see you. And congratulations again for your son. Good.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Any other questions, comments?
Dr. Sane, namaste.
Namaste.
I, myself and Chavi, we would really want to remember Dr. Kumud for introducing us to your community and helping the Bhutanese refugees when we first came to Minnesota. And because of her, I was able to join her in Washington, D.C., and she introduced us to the bigger Indian community, where we got a lot of support and a lot of help from international organizations, Seva, who are helping other Bhutanese refugees in another part of our country here. So we are very, very grateful, because without her help, we would not have got connection and the love she had for our people. And this is because of her and because of you that we got to be a part of this bigger community and feel accepted.
Namaste, Dr. Sane.
Namaste.
Thank you for your support from the beginning for our community. And Kumudji was outstanding, and I am amazed, how you have integrated your grief into gratitude. And you are a good living example of what you have learned. I am listening to the lectures that you and Dr. Anand Rambachan and Prasanna and other are presenting with great concentration and focus, but I have a lot of questions which I would bring up later on.
Sure.
But I'm not yet ready. My groundwork has not been done yet, I guess. That's what I understood from your presentation today. But we appreciate the way, you are not only presenting it in the way, but you have personified what you have understood. And we are thankful for that. Thank you.
I think one thing, thank you for your comment, but one thing that all of us need to remember, that we are not the one who are doing it. It is done through us. Is Karta, Bhokta, is Bhagwan. It's the God who does it. Only thing is he and she, for me, God is both masculine and feminine, selects an individual who's perhaps right for that occasion to carry out God's functions. So the credit doesn't belong to me. Credit belongs to God. We feel privileged that we are the instrument that God selected to carry it out. But everything belongs to God. So thank you. Hey, John, I just want to call on you because you lost your dear wife in an accident and still continue to your due work and continue to attend the session. So I would love to hear what you have to say, John.
Well, yes, these last few years are very parallel for us. We had a life together for 60 years from our college days. And I have gone through exactly the same process. I was very touched to even see the title of your presentation about going from grief to gratitude, because that is exactly my experience. And it isn't for me connected with sort of a philosophical or metaphysical understanding. These ideas that you presented are ones that Yvonne and I were both around for upwards of 50 years. They were more profoundly accepted by Yvonne and with more questions by me, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because when you have a lifetime of being together, and as you said in the beginning, of mutual support for all those years, how can you not be grateful? No, it's just there. And when there is a community to give support, then that gratitude has the opportunity to come to the surface much more than if you are by yourself.
Exactly. Thank you, John. Hey, Brock, you have something to say? You're unmute before you say it, Brock.
Hello, and I think it was a beautiful talk you gave, and I know it comes deep from your heart, and I think it's beneficial to share this with the community and to have the feedback from the community. It really is a beneficial thing, and I speak that from experience. The loss of a loved one, it is a difficult thing and something that we all face, and it's even an enlightened person like yourself still has the human body and still has the human grief, and so to deal with that is still something that has to be done, and I think to do it through the community is the ideal way and brings the most benefit. And so I think that this is a very good thing that is happening right now. And so I wish you all the best in your journey.
Need it. Thank you.
Journey that we all take. And I think you'll do well. And as you grow, this will become something that you will grow with and grow into. And you will always have wonderful memories.
Right.
And the memories will actually get better as time progresses. You remember the best of times.
Yep. Thank you.
Shashi, this is Gulab again. One thing which we from this I gather is we should not only it's not the question of gratitude only when somebody passes away to reflect on what it has been, but we should learn, as we grow older, we understand what we have meant to each other, for us and our spouses. And it's good to be able to express the gratitude to our spouses, our loved one, while we are still alive. So
exactly.
They feel, and there is another message from this discourse. We take each other for granted. All of us have ups and downs in our relationships when you have been together for so long. But to express the gratitude to each other is, and to feel it ourselves is very important. It's a good cathartic and good medicine.
I think you're right. As a matter of fact, I think one of the messages we did not emphasize, as I should have, is that we have to thank each other and express gratitude when we are still alive in this human form. So that was good. Thank you.
Dr. Sane, namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for sharing. Mostly my interaction with Mrs. Sane were during the discourses, and she was always asking good questions. I can see that she improves and contributes to the upliftment and making the point right. So she was very sharp lady, and I mean, she has been helping the community. So it's great to know her. And regarding this lecture, yes, it's very helpful because everyone does go through this situation. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thank you. And Ed.
So Dr. Sane, I have a question. So I'll comment actually. I really admired Dr. Kumud Sane, she was one of the persons I met who was very open-minded. She could see different points of view. She was not just looking at one way, but if somebody had different way of looking at things, she was very respectful of that. So I really admired that. And, from day one, I thought, she is number one in my books. And so definitely we will all miss her. And what you said this morning was, very heartwarming in some ways and educational for us. And it shows to me, at least, is that, our loved ones, our spouses and so forth would pass on, but we don't need to wait for that moment. We need to be grateful. Every second, every breath we take is a gift, really. So it's not easy to remember and follow, but that's the bottom line, I think. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and express your grief, and as well as to help us in our grieving of passing of Dr. Kumud Sane. She was just a wonderful, wonderful lady. So thank you so much.
And if she can put up with me, she was great.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding. Okay, please don't take it wrongly. Okay.
Well, I think we should conclude this morning. Thanks again for joining this morning. And I'll certainly share the notes with whosoever wants. I'll give it to Arun and he can take it from there on. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.